People are beginning to wake up and they are not buying into this religious or religion slavery. Leke Adeboye, one of the youngest son of Pastor E.A. Adeboye. And when I say son, I'm not talking about spiritual son, if there is anything like that. I'm talking about biological son. Leke Adeboye called pastors, I mean, people who are older than him, people who are of his age, people who are younger than him. He called every one of them goats. He said they preached and prayed and they sang songs, worshipped God after his own father, the Daddy Gio, the Almighty of the Rccg, finished. This happened during their service. They had a service, it was a special service, and this service is supposed to be heard from the headquarters to all of the branches. They transmitted it, and after everyone listened to what Adiju has to say, some of the pastors decided to continue in the work of God, and baby Gio decided to fire shots at them. It was called because it became a social media talk, and Adeboye knows that things have changed. It is no longer business as usual. They've come to realize that they are losing power, same way the Roman Catholic lost power. Roman Catholic used to be very powerful back in those days. In fact, whatever the Pope says, it becomes law, it becomes just everything. It becomes the voice of God. That Jews all over Nigeria also used to occupy this position, but lately it seems people, I don't know if it's the coronavirus, I don't know what it is. People started rising up and they began to look deeper into the power or powers, utterances that many of these GEOs wield. Now, Leke Adeboye, from all indication and from the manner at which he talks, the way he presents himself, and even though they said that they called him and it was a three-man panel, and from what we heard, he refused. He said he wasn't going to apologize, and he walked away from that panel. The panel consists of his father-in-law and some other, older and top people in the church. He looked at them and he's like, what is wrong with these people? My father is the CEO of this company, and we are the ones who inherit this company. Who are you people? You people that are just here begging for favors, or do you think I don't know your history? If not that you give me your daughter, and I'm even helping your family by getting married to your daughter, making sure that your daughter will also benefit from all of this business enterprise that we have created all over. That being said, for members of RCCG, many of them who are, diehard member and will not for once look at truth and look at lies. They will say, what do you mean by business enterprise? Well, as it is, church can become a business enterprise. Do not forget that Jesus Christ himself whipped people and said, this is my father's house, and it is not a place where you gamble, where you say if you don't do this you will go to hell, if you don't drop tithes you will go to hell, and all of those things. So you should understand what I'm saying, that I'm not just speaking from carnal or flesh. I'm not coming from that part. I'm just trying to connect it to what Jesus Christ himself did. So if that happened in the Bible, it means that it can happen anywhere, even in RCCG. There is a little, will I say, leaked. Back in those days when head of states want to overtake or they want to kick out the other head of state, they often will address and say, fellow Nigerians, we have taken over power, media, police, and they begin to talk and begin to give you the latest, when they plan the coup. From what we are seeing, Leke is already on the verge of planning a coup or trying to make us know that he is going to be in charge. Leke Adeboye is going to start like this from what has been leaked out. You will say, what am I talking about? I want you to listen to the end. And if you're just coming across this platform and you're not a member, kindly tap on the subscription button and the red notification icon bell below to alert you whenever videos are dropped. This is what Leke has written in his file. He has written it in his diary. And this is what he's preparing for. My dear brethren, I send you all Calvary greetings and love from my daddy's office. As we get ready for Easter, I have a recurring vision about death and resurrection that I want to share with all the over 5 million members of my daddy's church. As you all know, our beloved Daddy Gio has surpassed the 70 years that God promised us. For all practical purposes, that he is still on the field playing is all thanks to injury time. We may need an urgent transition to new leadership in our ministry anytime from now. As Daddy's most beloved son and his most senior special assistant, with whom he is well pleased, I need to address you about this inevitable transition in our church, Rccg. We cannot afford to leave things hanging the way primitive and local churches like the Cherubim and Seraphim and the Celestial churches did. Ours is an international church with branches in over 196 countries. If we do not have a solid transition plan, we may find ourselves entangled in the type of embarrassing fights that made those poverty-ridden churches like Cherubim and Seraphim and Celestia the laughingstocks of the world when their founders died. Having looked at the capacity of the current leadership of our church, having gone through their personal files, I can authoritatively tell you that none of the people in those positions has what it takes to take our church to the next level. Apart from my late brother, Dare, may his soul rest in perfect peace, all the other people out there in London, New York, South Africa, and Abuja parading themselves as potential replacements of our beloved Daddy Gio, my father, the Grandmaster. All of these people are nincompoops. They are nincompoop. They do not have the grandeur, the gravitas, the sophistication we need in this jet-setting Bitcoin age to take the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Rccg, to a place that a Catholic church did not dream of. In our future church, it would not be enough to get an average of $1 for every 5 million of us each Sunday. We need to position that this church where we can raise our membership to 10 million people in the next 10 years and get $10 for every member. My daddy wants to put a church within 5 minutes walking distance in developing cities and 5 minutes driving distance in developed cities. I want anyone, anywhere who looks out of a window to see the shining light of a Redeemed Christian Church of God. For every African member of our church, I want 2 non-African members, preferably from countries with hard currencies. Never again we will depend on Nigerians who are abroad as our main source of cash flow. Now that will be a church that I'll be proud to say deserves my ingenuity. Therefore, I, Leke, having studied the Christian movement from the medieval age to this modern age, having watched our beloved Daddy Gio travel around the world like a colossus, having been the power behind some of the most consequential decisions our daddy's church has made in recent time, I can tell you that nobody is more prepared than me to ascend the throne. I may be younger than most of the pretenders to the throne, but I have the wisdom of Solomon. I have been in the thick of things. I am not carried away by sentiments, neither do things of the world wow me. I have seen it all. I have the maturity to knock knucklehead pastors in line. Years of service by these errant pastors do not move me. I will do what is best for the bottom line of our church. This has become necessary as we face this stiff challenge from Winners Chapel and their one-man operation led by Bishop David Oyedepo and Sons. We must not let them outshine us. It is real danger that we will face in the next 10 years as a new generation of leaders take over across the Pentecostal churches in Nigeria. As long as I am alive, I will not let Daddy's long life investment go the way of Bishop Benson Idahosa. Irol. I am the only one very well equipped not only to give them a run for their money, but to maintain our RCCG as the premier church out of Africa for the next 100 years. During my reign, I want my daddy's church to top the list of churches with the highest weekly attendance in the world. I want our church to beat South Korea's Yodo Full Gospel Church and India Calvary's Temple with 480,000 and 350,000 weekly attendance, respectively. I know we can do it. I have studied what those churches are doing, and I assure you that I will replicate it at our prayer city right here at our Lagos Ibadan Expressway headquarters. I have noticed that the ragtag Deeper Life Church is ranked higher than us in weekly attendance. That is an absolute insult. Unlike some of the pretenders to Daddy Gio's throne, I have spent long hours 30,000 feet up in the air in my daddy's private jet thinking about stuff like this. If we fail to move in and dominate our domain and even beyond, some of the edifices that we are building today will be desolate in the next 50 years, left for rats to occupy or be converted into a nightclub. I bet you some of the people hangling to take over from my dad will not be around in 50 years. How do you expect such goats to think about where to position our church in 50 years' time? I will be around. I have a vivid dream of where my church will be then. For those of you who do not know, I have a master's degree in aerospace technology and engineering from the University of Hertfordshire, England. In fact, I could have been a very successful engineer anywhere in the world. But I humbled myself and subjected myself to an 8-hour interview to be a personal assistant to Daddy Gio. In that interview, I wore a suit and a tie. When I went in and came out 8 hours later wearing only a singlet and boxers, it was torture. Only Jesus, who suffered on the cross, can fathom what I went through in that interview. All for what? All for the lowest paying job, my daddy's ministry. Am I not humble? Or what? While Daddy Gio loves to fish and watch James Bond films, I am more like Buhari's son Yusuf. I have a flair for hot bikes. That means that I will bring speed and excitement as your general overseer. You don't have to worry about how I will sustain myself. My hot wife is the CEO of Oasis Suya Eatery and Shawarma and Mimi Confectionery. I may be the last son, but I am the first in line in terms of astuteness and preparation. For those who cannot wrap their minds around my logic, I will use a carnal example to illustrate what I mean. Daddy Gio is like the beloved Queen of England, Elizabeth II. Everybody agrees that what would be great for the United Kingdom is to have the crown skip Prince Charles and go straight to Prince William. Our beloved Redeemed Christian Church of God is facing a similar dilemma. The good news is that unlike the British crown, where the Imperial Majesty must follow the signed and documented ancient ascension plan, ours has no such encumbrance. It is my daddy's and my daddy's alone. Unlike the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, I do not have to wait around to assume power. I do not have to go to any parliament or in front of a committee or team of kingmakers to transform myself from the presumptive leader to the substantive leader. So let this letter serve as an introduction of my humble self to all our brethren and as a warning to all those goats who may want to be on my way. Even though I have the 3 cutest children in the world with my hot wife, I know some of you traditionalists may have difficulty calling me Daddy Gio at this young age. I do understand. To accommodate you all, I'll be willing to answer Baby Gio until such a time when I am older than the median age of our church members. Well, let me stop here. I have a flight to catch. My daddy's private jet has been waiting for me for the last 2 hours on the tarmac. Please file this under your top secret files. Don't let those leeches on social media get their hands on it. It is just a draft that shows a man ready to accept and ascend the leadership of our great church at a minute notice. May God bless you all. Yours truly, Leke Adeboye, baby Gio.